Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Maria Albina Michael, and with me is Saira Mujtaba with the Midday News. The headlines. Russia launches special military operation on Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. Its forces entered into Ukrainian territory. India calls for an immediate de-escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Embassy in Kiev advises Indian nationals to maintain calm and remain safe. Russia-Ukraine crisis shakes stock markets around the world. Prime Minister addresses a webinar on positive impact of Union budget on agriculture sector. Says in just 6 years, agriculture budget increased manifold. High-pitch electoral campaign is reaching peak on the penultimate day of electioneering for the fifth phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi says 42 coal blocks successfully auctioned so far under commercial auctioning of coal mines. And in cricket, India to take on Sri Lanka in the first T20 of 3-match series in Lucknow this evening.
With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and get fully vaccinated, and also help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail.
Russia has launched a special military operation in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. Russian forces entered Ukrainian territory from Crimea. Ballistic missile attacks were also launched on a number of Ukrainian cities this morning. Big explosions were heard in Kiev, Kharkiv, and other areas of Ukraine. Reports of explosions are now coming in from several Ukrainian cities and gunfire near main Boryspil airport in the capital, Kiev. In a televised address, Russian President Vladimir Putin has urged Ukrainian soldiers who are facing off Russian-backed rebels to lay down weapons and return to their homes. However, Mr. Putin said Russia did not plan to occupy Ukraine, but warned that Moscow's response would be instant if anyone tries to take on Russia. Ukraine also said that Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said peaceful Ukrainian cities are under strikes and this is a war of aggression. Mr. Kuleba said Ukraine will defend itself and will win. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia had almost 200,000 troops and thousands of combat vehicles on Ukraine's borders. U.S. President Joe Biden said Washington and its allies would respond in a united and decisive way to an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces on Ukraine. Mr. Biden vowed that the world will hold Russia and President Vladimir Putin accountable as he has chosen a premeditated war that will bring a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. Russia is launching its military operation just days after recognizing the self-proclaimed People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk in eastern Ukraine. The breakaway regions, who control large areas of the Donbass region, later asked Moscow for military support. Russia has long resisted Ukraine's move towards European institutions, both NATO and the EU. Now Mr. Putin has claimed Ukraine is a puppet of the West and was never a proper state anyway. Mr. Putin has repeatedly accused US and its allies of ignoring Russia's demands to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO military alliance and offer Moscow security guarantees. As a former Soviet republic, Ukraine has deep social and cultural ties with Russia, and Russian is widely spoken there, but ever since Russia invaded in 2014, those relations have frayed. External Affairs Ministry has set up a control room in New Delhi in view of the prevailing situation in Ukraine. The control room will provide information and assistance. The contact details of the control room are 1800-118797 toll-free and these 3 numbers to get any assistance. +91 11 230 12113, +91 11 230 14104, +91 11 230 17905. People can also email at situationroom@mea.gov.in. In addition, Embassy of India in Ukraine has set up a 24-hour emergency helpline which can be accessed by dialing +380 997 300 428, +380 997 300 483. Tamil Nadu government has also created a separate help desk for those from the state living in Ukraine. The Commissionerate of Rehabilitation and Welfare of Non-Resident Tamils has appealed to contact through www.nrtamils.tn.gov.in for any help. Queries will be addressed at the phone numbers 044 285 15288, 96000 23645, 99402 56444. Air India flight AI-1947, which was flying to Ukraine to bring Indian people home, has returned to Delhi due to the closure of Ukrainian airspace. Talking to All India Radio about the present situation, Soumya Pal, a student in Ukraine, said,
I am Soumya Pal. Till yesterday everything seemed to be normal, but now it is an emergency situation and we are not feeling safe anymore. There are sirens all over my town and people are leaving with their belongings. We are being advised to go into bunkers and stock as much food as possible and also to charge our power banks and phones for safety reasons. There is panic among our parents and relatives. I booked ticket for 25th of February but now airspace is closed. We are waiting for help from our embassy.
Meanwhile, Indian Embassy in Kiev has advised all Indian nationals in Ukraine to maintain calm and remain safe wherever they are, be it homes, hostels, accommodations or in transit. In an advisory, the embassy said the present situation in Ukraine is highly uncertain. It asked Indians travelling to Kiev, including those from western parts of Kiev, to return to their respective cities, especially towards safer places along the western bordering countries. Earlier, India had called for an immediate de-escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. India's permanent representative in the UN, T.S. Tirumurti, cautioned that the situation is in danger of spiraling into a major crisis. He was addressing an emergency meeting of UN Security Council held in Ukraine this morning. This was the second meeting of UNSC this week and the fourth since 31st January as tensions escalated between Russia and Ukraine. Mr. Tirumurti emphasized on sustained and focused diplomacy to address all issues concerning the situation.
We call for immediate de-escalation and for refraining from any further action that could contribute to a worsening of the situation. I would like to underline that the legitimate security interests of all parties should be fully taken into account. We believe that the solution lies in sustained diplomatic dialogue between the concerned parties. In the meantime, we strongly emphasize the vital need for all sides to maintain international peace and security by exercising the utmost restraint.
Meanwhile, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres made a direct appeal to President Putin to stop Russian troops from attacking Ukraine. Sources also said that high-level meetings in External Affairs Ministry are ongoing on the issue. Contingency plans are being put into operation. Given airspace closure, alternate evacuation routes are being activated. Additional Russian-speaking officials have been sent to Indian Embassy in Ukraine and are being deployed in countries neighboring Ukraine. Indian Embassy in Ukraine is functional.
The stock, bond and commodity markets around the world have been rattled after Russia declared war on Ukraine, sending stocks tumbling and crude oil prices surging. Indian stock markets benchmark indices Nifty 50 and Sensex slipped around 3% each, hitting the lowest level since December 2021. At 11:30 a.m. today, Nifty 50 index slipped below the 16,500 mark and BSE Sensex was 2,000 points lower at around 55,300 levels. Among sectors, real estate, metals, state-owned banks and media stocks were the worst hit, followed by banks and information technology scrips. Brent crude futures topped the $100 a barrel mark, fearing disruption of Russian energy exports. India imports more than 80% of its oil requirements, and higher crude oil prices could widen the current account deficit. On the global front, USA's S&P 500 index was down 2.3% and Nasdaq futures fell 2.8%, confirming it is in a bear market. Euro Stoxx 50 futures and German Deutsche futures were down more than 3.5% in early deals, along with global risk assets. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that more than 700 agri-startups have been created in the country in the last 3 to 4 years. Addressing a webinar on positive impact of Union Budget 2022 on the agricultural sector through video conferencing, the Prime Minister elaborated on the 7 ways in which the budget proposes to make agriculture modern and smart.
सिर्फ 6 सालों में कृषि बजट कई गुना बढ़ा है. किसानों के लिए कृषि लोन में भी 7 सालों में 2.5 गुना की बढ़ोतरी की गई है. कोरोना के मुश्किल काल में भी स्पेशल ड्राइव चलाकर हमने 3 करोड़ छोटे किसानों को केसीसी की सुविधा से जोड़ा है. इस सुविधा का विस्तार एनिमल हस्बेंड्री, पशुपालन और फिशरीज से जुड़े किसानों के लिए भी किया गया है.
He said the target of the government is to undertake natural farming on a mission mode within 5 kilometers on both the banks of River Ganga. Modern technology in agriculture and horticulture will be made available to the farmers. Mr. Modi said in the budget, emphasis has been laid on strengthening mission oil palm to reduce the import of edible oils. The Prime Minister said new logistics arrangements will be made through Prime Minister Gati Shakti plan for the transportation of agricultural products. He stressed that artificial intelligence is going to completely change the trend related to agriculture and farming in the 21st century. He said increasing the use of drones in farming is part of this change. Mr. Modi emphasized the need for increased soil testing culture in India.
कि हमारी सरकार का बहुत ज्यादा जोर सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड पर रहा है. देश के करोड़ों किसानों को सरकार ने सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड दिए हैं. सॉइल हेल्थ की जांच ये लगातार होती रहे. ये हमारे किसानों को अगर हम आदत डालेंगे तो छोटे छोटे किसान भी हर साल एक बार सॉइल टेस्ट जरूर करवाएंगे. हमें किसानों में भी ये जागरूकता बढ़ानी होगी. उनका सहज स्वभाव बनाना होगा कि वो 1-2 साल में अपने खेत की मिट्टी का टेस्ट करवाएं और उसके मुताबिक उसमें कौन सी दवाइयों की जरूरत है, कौन से फर्टिलाइजर की जरूरत है, किस फसल के लिए उपयोगी है, उसको उनको एक साइंटिफिक ज्ञान मिलेगा.
During the webinar, the Prime Minister discussed ways in which the budget will contribute to strengthening the agricultural sector. He said Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme has become a strong support for the small farmers of the country.
कि 3 साल पहले आज ही के दिन पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि की शुरुआत की गई थी. ये योजना आज देश के छोटे किसानों का बहुत बड़ा संबल बनी है. इसके तहत देश के 11 करोड़ किसानों को लगभग 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपए दिए जा चुके हैं. इस योजना में भी हम स्मार्टनेस का अनुभव कर सकते हैं. सिर्फ एक क्लिक पर 10-12 करोड़ किसानों के बैंक खातों में सीधे पैसे ट्रांसफर होना, ये अपने आप में किसी भी भारतीय को, किसी भी हिंदुस्तानी को गर्व करने वाली बात है.
The Prime Minister noted the year 2023 being recognized as the International Year of Millets and called upon the corporate world to come forward in branding and promoting Indian millets.
Air Chief Marshal B.R. Chaudhary today said the first and foremost challenge that Air Force is facing is that of keeping pace with technology. Speaking at the 13th Jumbo Majumdar International Conference in New Delhi, Air Chief Marshal said the training philosophy will need to be modern, flexible and adaptive. He said next challenge will be of command and control. Another will be aerospace control. He said China's latest demonstration of physically moving one of its disabled satellites into the graveyard orbit is bringing new threats in the West to recognize the space domain. Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi has said that 42 coal blocks have been successfully auctioned so far under commercial auctioning of coal mines. Inaugurating the Enterprise Resource Planning System of Coal India Limited in New Delhi yesterday, Mr. Joshi pointed out that technology can ensure transparency and bring down corruption. He complimented Coal India Limited for successfully overcoming the recent challenges by ensuring sustained coal supply to the nation. The minister urged Coal India Limited to attain coal production targets set for the current and next fiscal.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Russia launches special military operation on Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. Its forces entered into Ukrainian territory. India calls for an immediate de-escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Embassy in Kiev advises Indian nationals to maintain calm and remain safe. Russia-Ukraine crisis shakes stock markets around the world. Prime Minister addresses a webinar on positive impact of Union budget on agricultural sector, says in just 6 years, agriculture budget increased manifold. High-pitched electoral campaign is reaching a peak on the penultimate day of electioneering for the 5th phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi says 42 coal blocks successfully auctioned so far under commercial auctioning of coal mines. And in cricket, India to take on Sri Lanka in the first T20 of the 3-match series in Lucknow this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
In poll-bound Uttar Pradesh, the high-pitch electoral campaign is reaching peak on the penultimate day of electioneering for the 5th of 7-phase assembly elections. The poll campaign for the subsequent phases in UP and 2-phase polling in Manipur is going on in full swing. The 5th phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on the 27th of February in 61 assembly constituencies, including 9 ACs reserved for the scheduled castes from 12 districts. The electoral battle scenario in the 5th phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh indicates that there are total 692 candidates in fray for 61 assembly seats. Earlier, over 61% voter turnout was registered during the 4th phase of polling yesterday in 59 assembly constituencies from 9 districts of Uttar Pradesh. With this, the political fate of 624 candidates was sealed into the electronic voting machines. French Joint Forces Commander in the Indian Ocean, Rear Admiral Jacques Fayard, has called on Indian Army Chief General M.M. Naravane. They discussed ways to enhance defence cooperation between the two countries.
Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia today launched the National Policy Guidelines on Biomedical Innovation and Entrepreneurship in New Delhi. The vision of this policy is to create an innovation-led entrepreneurial ecosystem in India with the ultimate goal of positively impacting human health and well-being. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Mandavia emphasized on giving more importance to research and innovation to become a self-reliant India. More than 176 crore 52 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said more than 30 lakh 49,000 doses were administered in the last 24 hours. The ministry said a total of 14,148 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload currently stands at 1,48,359 and it is at 0.35%. Recovery rate is currently at 98.46%.
The National War Memorial will celebrate its 3rd anniversary tomorrow. Chief of Integrated Defence Staff to the Chairman, Chiefs of Staff Committee CISC, Air Marshal B.R. Krishna, along with the Vice Chiefs of Indian Army, Indian Navy and Indian Air Force will lay wreath at the memorial to mark the occasion. They will pay homage to the fallen bravehearts of the nation. Inter-Services Band along with Students Band of VSPK International School Rohini, New Delhi will enthrall the audience. The National War Memorial was dedicated to the nation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 25th February 2019. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
England is so powerful. Its army and its navy, all its modern weapons. But when a great power like that strikes defenseless people, it shows its brutality.
On the 24th of February 1919, Mahatma Gandhi initiated the campaign against Rowlatt Acts and set up Satyagraha Sabha at Bombay. The movement was against the exclusion of freedom of press and detention without trial. During this agitation, Gandhiji famously said,
"It is my firm belief that we shall obtain salvation only through suffering and not by reforms dropping on us from the English. They use brute, we soul force."
The Rowlatt Acts allowed political cases to be tried without juries and permitted internment of suspects without trial, suspending the right of habeas corpus. Freedom fighters rose up against this brutal act, and the country witnessed a remarkable political awakening during the months of March and April of 1919.
There were hartals, strikes, processions and demonstrations. In Amritsar, the local leaders Kichlu and Satyapal were deported on the 9th of April. The arrest of the local leaders led to attacks on the symbols of British authority. On the 11th of April, martial law was clamped with General Dyers in command.
After the incident of Jallianwala Bagh massacre on the 13th of April 1919, the country rose up together in non-cooperation movement. In March 1922, accepting the report of the Repressive Laws Committee, the British colonial government repealed the Rowlatt Act, the Press Act and 22 other laws.
We remember freedom fighter Nenu Ram, who was born on the 24th of February 1892 in district Mandsaur, Madhya Pradesh. Nenu became the president of Haroti Rajasthan Seva Sangh Kota during 1920 and 1926 and mobilized the peasants of Barad and Bundi's Dabi for the abolition of forced labor and redressal of agrarian grievances. He was arrested in 19
Remember freedom fighter Bondoka Bhotra, who died on the 24th of February 1943. Botra participated in the Quit India movement in 1942 in Odisha in response to the nationwide call of Mahatma Gandhi. He was arrested and detained in Nabarangpur jail, where he fell ill due to the unhygienic living conditions and lack of medical care. On the 15th of February 1943, he was admitted to the hospital and later shifted to Koraput district jail. Bondoka Botra died due to heart failure on the 24th of February 1943 while in prison. We salute the great man. To the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर आकाशवाणी समाचार के कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में बृहस्पतिवार को शाम 4:45 पर सुनिए देश की आजादी में अपना अमूल्य योगदान देने वाले भारतीय स्वतंत्रता संग्राम के सेनानियों की वीर गाथा।
Labour Minister Bhupender Yadav has congratulated Employees State Insurance Corporation ESIC on its foundation day today. In a tweet, Mr. Yadav said that ESIC is playing an important role in ensuring health and social security of India's workforce and their families. Delhi Police Commissioner Rakesh Asthana has said the city police is engaged in preparing itself in dealing with all kinds of future challenges to be emerged in the next 10 years. Addressing an annual press conference, Mr. Asthana said Delhi Police has prepared the action plans 2022, 2024 and 2030 in this regard. During the 75th Raising Day Parade of Delhi Police, Home Minister Amit Shah had asked it to prepare a road map to fill up the gaps, if any, in the next 5 years in areas including investigation, challenges posed by terrorism and cyber crimes, and where this force stands when it will celebrate its centenary year.
Team India will face Sri Lanka in the first T20 International of the three-match series today at the Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ekana Cricket Stadium in Lucknow. The match will start at 7 p.m. Rohit Sharma will lead the team and Dasun Chanika will take command of the Sri Lanka T20 squad. The second T20 International will be played on the 26th and the 27th of this month at the Himachal Pradesh Cricket Association Stadium in Dharmshala.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 15 and 27 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 31 degrees. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 23 and 33 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky. The city observed a minimum temperature of 17 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 29 degrees. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Temperature will hover between 1 and 8 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature was 12 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 20 degrees. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Russia launches special military operation on Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. Its forces entered into Ukrainian territory. India calls for an immediate de-escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Embassy in Kiev advises Indian nationals to maintain calm and remain safe. Russia-Ukraine crisis shakes stock markets around the world. Prime Minister addresses a webinar on positive impact of Union budget on agriculture sector, says in just 6 years, agriculture budget increased manifold. High-pitch electoral campaign is reaching peak on the penultimate day of electioneering for the 5th phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi says 42 coal blocks successfully auctioned so far under commercial auctioning of coal mines. And in cricket, India to take on Sri Lanka in first T20 of three-match series in Lucknow this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.